Okay, so Eddie, you're up.
Thank you, Mayor. First on the discussions is a resolution that's on tonight regarding Bergen County Animal Control contract renewal. This will be in the 2023 budget, but what we've done is we're going to recontract with them for the animal control services. It's a 4-year contract. There was a slight increase of $5,000, and that's basically because it was taken from the most recent 2020 census, and there was an increase in population, and it's based on that, so there was a slight increase to that contract. It'll be a 4-year contract with a % increase each year. The item number 2 that's on here, I'm gonna skip because it's not gonna be on. Item 3 is an amendment to the zoning ordinance, and this involves our planner, Fran Reiner, identified a potential concern in our current ordinance that we would like to resolve, which pertains to supplemental standards for mixed-use developments in the B3 zone. He recommended the city consider amending the ordinance for section 175-8.1.B.7 and to state the following: any mixed-use hotel and multifamily development shall be subject to the following limitations and requirements in addition to other standards in this section. And those would be not more than 50% of the gross floor area of such a use may be dedicated to multifamily dwellings and uses or facility accessories to those dwellings. The density for the multifamily residential component of this use shall not exceed 43.5 dwelling units per acre, and the hotel portion of the use shall be subject to the the requirements of section 6 as stated above. This will be added to the January 10th council meeting so that it can then go to the planning board for their meeting on January 11th, and hopefully final adoption by the council will take place on January 24th. Lastly, I will call up Ryan Wester, our project manager, to talk about the CSO stormwater and parks update.
Good evening, everyone.
Evening.
Okay. Do the CSO surcharge construction status for December 20th. We'll start off with the Clay Street sewer separation contract 2. That's out from Fashini to the river. Contractor is continuing the construction of the head wall structure. They're putting in the steel rebar and framework, the forms, and they're looking to pour by the end of the week, but with the rain on Friday, it's looking like Thursday. So we'll pour the concrete walls out there for the head wall. Clay Street sewer separation contract 3, which is out here, Park Street, Union Street, and then under the rail. The test pits were performed within the transit right-of-way to determine the water main location and elevations. There's a 20-inch transmission line that pretty much runs directly underneath the curb line of the tract property. So what those test pits determined was that the elevation, there's not very much separation between where we're going to jack and bore underneath and the existing water main. So what the design changes are going to be is, instead of having 2 larger pipes, we're going to reduce the size and add a 3rd pipe to maintain the capacity underneath the tracks. So that design modification is currently being designed. They're also continuing installing the sanitary infrastructure on Park Street, which is an 18-inch reconstruction of the existing sewer. And then they're also doing that on Clay Street, headed towards Railroad Ave. The non-CSO, we're still waiting for Fletcher Kramer's redesign for the sheething. They still are anticipated to remobilize after the new year. Side park improvements, we're kind of at a standstill out there with the addition of the replacement of the westerly playground equipment during construction when the loose fill material was removed and the new curbing was installed, it was determined that the elevations of the slides and some of the steps are too high for where it's gonna meet the new poured-in-place surfacing, and there's not enough room to ramp those surfacings up to meet the, the standard. And that playground set is, 20-plus years old, so what we're gonna do is we've reached out to a couple manufacturers of playground equipment, and with the unforeseen conditions built into the contract, we have enough to put in a new playground equipment in that section.
Ryan, are we going to look at handicap accessible?
Yeah,
Right.
the design of the park now, it's all level, so there's no ramps going in, so there's gonna be ADA features.
Okay, but
As
for the
well
equipment,
as
for the
access.
playground equipment itself,
Yes.
can we look into that?
Yep,
Okay.
yeah, there's gonna be a few features
Awesome.
for ADA accessibility.
Great, thank you.
Yep, and for the Carver Park, basketball courts and the Columbus Park Phase 2 improvements, we're gonna do a separate presentation in one of the January meetings to present those designs when they come up. And just a couple resolutions that'll be on the council meeting later this evening. Resolution for Fashini Park for fields 8, 9, and 10, that'll be for design and permitting. Resolution for shared service agreement with Northwest BCUA for TV inspection as well as sewer cleaning services as needed. We've entered in that contract with them for quite some time now, so we're just continuing on with that. That's it.
Thank you. Any questions, guys? Ken?
One thing I had, for staff and Jerry, one thing I mentioned to Brian in the email is, especially with Scott, because we really redid the whole point.
Mhm.
Like when we're ready, maybe it would be nice if we had like a little ribbon cutting or,
Absolutely.
and even, maybe even some of the smaller things that we do. Like when we get the basketball courts, I know everyone in Carver Park's been waiting for that.
Mhm.
Maybe make a little celebration out of some of this
Yeah,
stuff.
absolutely.
And let people be aware that it's open and,
Mhm.
We did it with the splash parks, we should do it all.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Especially when she brought the baby suit.
yeah.
Oh, no, that's because, who was it? Mr. Love, right?
No, David Truck.
No.
I need to vote on
It was one of the residents said to me, this is never gonna open, and I said, I promise you it will, and if it does, I will come opening day in a bathing suit. He said, if you do, I will. So I had to come
Yeah,
in a
no,
bathing suit,
absolutely.
go in the splash park with him, and we were the
That's
first
dedication.
two in the splash park, and they're coming before you stuff. So, yes, it was all over City Hall, all over the websites, and
We got the picture.
I have a question.
I think I look pretty good.
I get asked all the time about pickleball. Where are we with pickleball on any of our courts?
We, sorry.
I believe the indoor equipment was ordered for M&M. so
It was.
that they can-
Okay.
they can-
Are we doing any of the outside tennis courts for pickleball?
We will in the spring.
Yeah, we're gonna,
Yeah.
the existing ones, I think we're just gonna stripe at least
Yeah,
one
modify,
court in each
yeah.
park that
I
already
mean,
has
they
an
can still be
existing
used for
court.
tennis.
Oh,
also,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I mean,
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I think the priority was to get that indoor.
there's I'm getting a lot of questions about it, but it's becoming more and more popular.
yeah, I think Recreation was working on that, but we reached out, got some quotes for the striping of at least one court in
Right.
each park that has the.
Yeah, we
existing
can
tennis
modify
court.
the tennis court and Carver Park.
Yeah, it's just adding a couple lines that do exist.
And the
And
other
then
thing
I
we
think
have to
the
talk
net is
about
like 2 inches lower, and that's it.
Is
so.
the dog park at Fashini. We have to
Yes.
start discussing that, so.
Yep.
Because we're seeing, I was in the Brick recently.
Yeah, how many dogs run the
Yeah.
elevator with us?
There was, I saw
Every
like 5 dogs in 5 minutes.
Yeah, yeah,
Amazing,
there's-
in that
yeah,
building.
there's-
And they need a place to walk their dogs.
They
Yeah.
should be make a place right there. They got plenty of land.
Yeah, we can put it, there's that existing playground, right, when you pull in on the right side there, that.
Yeah, there's some.
I
And
think
people
that's,
like to ask me,
that'd be a good spot, then you're not walking all the way through the park.
They're on the corner there, and this is something we should look possibly to acquire, is a piece of property, used to be Plump Brothers years ago, next to where the physical therapist is, remember she
the
couldn't
one that
get the
they're
lot?
using as a parking lot now?
Yeah, well, we should look into maybe renting.
Give that a small piece, maybe we could put something there, where John's talking about, on River Street, on
Okay.
that corner there.
Where you're coming out from Lot C, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, on
There's a
sale.
physical therapist and there's a small track.
Oh, yeah, I think the contract.
That's
Tracking
okay.
radios are against our property at
Yeah.
Fashini.
It's like adjacent to our little garage though.
Right,
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, maybe we should look into that.
there you go. Paul.
Yeah, yeah. Plus you figure you get, well, I don't know, is the record property from the parking? I mean, you know, I would know.
No, off the top of my head, I don't
We're
think so.
discussing possibly Johnson, but I think Fish needs more centrally located.
Yeah,
for
it's closer
purposes
for
of developments.
the majority of the apartments there, yeah. Yeah, okay.
Very
No
good.
problem. We'll
Thanks,
make note of
Larry.
it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Happy holidays.
You too.
What else you got, man?
That's it, Mayor.
All right, that will be a motion to open to the public.
Oh,
Roll call.
Councilmember Von Rudenberg.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Canestrino.
aye.
Councilmember Pataglia.
Aye.
Councilmember Carroll.
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus.
Aye. Anybody from the public who'd like to speak, please come forward. Give your name to the clerk. And we will have 3 minutes. How are you, Barry?
Good evening, Mayor LaBrus and everyone here. I just wanted to make mention that there was that initiative for the Peters Place in the park some time ago. We're transitioning from Peters Place, where some people have to live inside. It became an alternative to staying at Christ Church, as where if those became homeless, that they could possibly stay there and then transition from there to Kansas Street, from Kansas Street, crossing there. to,
Right.
With shelter is current. The thing is we have housing, and housing is, starting to, become essential to where, once it's established, who's gonna live there where it won't be deteriorating but improving? So once it's there, you don't want it to start to subtract from its, loveliness and its goodness by where it's established. And you want to make sure that people can live there, and still afford to, pay there and remain there. The cost of living, they say, goes up. And some people will be looking for jobs. Some will have to be maybe concerned about will they be able to maintain their jobs. Things change and things will continue to change. More people will be coming in and, things will be, where it, on Summit or Prospect is the alternative entry. We've seen, water substantiate by the River Street, by Essex Street, by McDonald's, and then for a short time is on Central Avenue. So, though they have what's called the solar panels by the high school, it seems like, and it, appears that, energy is essential. And the same thing, we don't want the corner off guard some, scenario of River Street, Essex Street, and then this that's a place where we want to go by that park, what then is the situation. So I'm saying we have to always keep on the guard, so we always have to know what is it that you don't want to get put off guard with, whether it be the water consumption, and then the new ideas of solar panels. And solar panels for the high school is going to be something that's going to be because it's solar. It's a place of PSC engineer, and maybe they connect and they work well with that. We don't want to have to see the subtraction, and then, the cost burden of, we'll all still work together, and what way do we have to avoid the catastrophe of value? And that's what I'm talking about with peace, what if, people from the shelter, what is the alternative? Because if the voucher is for a certain amount, will they be able to, will they be able to have someplace to turn? Because if the church is going to be the only alternative to Christ Church, who's going to make the transition to someplace that's affordable?
Thank you, Barry. Next person from the public? Seeing no one from the public, motion to close.
Over.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Jerry?
Aye.
None opposed? Okay, we will see everybody back here at